Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something many of us deal with, online learning.
Yeah, it's everywhere now, isn't it?
Totally. And we've pulled together some, well, pretty interesting sources. Think of it as your ultimate guide for the digital classroom. We've
Hmm.
got practical advice, time-saving stuff from a student viewpoint, which is great.
Right.
And then a look at how university faculty handled that huge shift to online teaching back in 2020, like overnight.
That was a massive change for everyone.
Definitely. And we're also looking at the theories behind it all, like why do we actually use certain technologies? Why do some click and others
Okay.
just don't?
The psychology of tech adoption,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission really is to give you strategies, things you can actually use to do well in your online courses.
And also to understand that bigger picture, how technology and education fit together.
We're digging into, well, everything from managing those endless reading lists
Oh, the reading list.
and those discussion forums that just pile up, plus understanding the models like TAM and TPACK that explain how this all works.
It's about giving you, the learner, practical tools, but also that deeper context for the whole online learning scene.
Okay, so let's unpack this reading issue first.
Yeah.
Like the number one thing you hear, right? Just drowning in PDFs.
Absolutely. That feeling of overwhelm is real. But this blog post we looked at by Rob Power offers some smart ways to tackle it.
Yeah, he calls it being strategic, almost like a reading ninja.
Yeah, something like that. He suggests starting with a quick scan. Look at the title, the abstract, the headings, any bold term.
Right, like getting the trailer before watching the whole movie.
Exactly. You grasp the main points before you commit to a deep read. It gives you a sort of map.
I like that. And then he talks about reading with purpose.
Yeah.
Like asking yourself, what do I need from this specific article?
That's key. Connecting it to your own goals, your assignments, whatever it is you need to get out of it makes it way more relevant.
So it's not just passive reading. You're actively searching.
Precisely. And this means you can focus on the bits that directly answer your questions and, maybe just skim the rest. For now, anyway.
Like an academic buffet, you don't have to eat everything at once.
That's a great analogy. Pick what nourishes you right now. And when you find those really important sections, Power says, dig in a bit. Make notes on how it connects to your context.
And he even mentions, or references, a video by Thomas Frank about speeding up your reading too. More tools for the toolkit.
Yeah, it's all about being efficient and active in how you approach the reading, not just letting it wash over you.
It's a shift, really,
Yeah.
from feeling like you have to read every single word
Right.
to making smart choices about where your time is best spent. And you can always go back later if needed.
Exactly. Revisit it if it becomes more relevant or you just get curious.
Okay, so that's readings. Now, the other big time sink, discussion forums. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. That comment in the blog post, 60 missed messages, that's daunting.
Totally relatable if you've done any online courses. That little notification number just climbs and climbs.
It can feel like a full-time job just keeping up. But Power has some sanity-saving tips here, too.
Please tell us.
Well, a big one is realizing you probably don't need to read every single post from every single classmate.
Really? Okay.
I mean, you absolutely need to post your own responses to the main prompts, the instructor's questions. That's usually mandatory.
Right, gotta do the work.
But then, for engaging with others, he suggests being selective. Focus on reading and replying to maybe just a few classmates.
Okay, like targeting your interaction.
Yeah, and maybe even prioritize the posts that haven't gotten many replies yet. Spread the love, foster discussion there.
That makes a lot of sense. Quality over quantity, not just adding noise.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And another practical tip he mentions is using the daily forum digest. Lots of LMS platforms like Moodle, Canvas have this.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. The research paper we looked at actually mentioned Ontario Tech uses those.
Right. And the beauty of the digest is it bundles everything up, sends you one email.
Keeps the inbox cleaner.
Yeah, but here's the clever bit Power suggests. Tweak your settings so that once the digest is sent, the system marks those messages as read.
Oh, that's smart. So you don't log in and see 50 unread posts screaming at you.
Exactly. It reduces that initial arc moment, takes away some of the anxiety.
Like hitting reset on the forum dread? Dread, I like it.
He also recommends scheduling specific times to check the forums. Don't just let it hang over you all day.
Treat it like an appointment.
Right? Makes it manageable. And one last thing on forums. Use the dedicated questions and help forum, if there is one.
For course admin stuff.
Yeah, for questions about assignments, deadlines, tech issues. Your instructor's more likely watching that space closely, so you get faster answers.
Good point. Keeps important questions from getting buried in the general chat.
For sure. So really practical ways to kind of reclaim your time and sanity there.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We mentioned that research on faculty experiences.
Right. The Canadian University study from the pandemic shift in 2020.
Yeah. It's interesting because it shows the other side of the coin. Instructors were also, scrambling. They had to learn new tech, new ways of teaching really fast.
Absolutely. It wasn't just students adapting. This research looked specifically at Cape Breton University, CBU, and Ontario Tech, OnTech.
And what support they got, right?
Exactly. And how they experienced that whole transition, understanding their challenges and what helped them gives us as learners a kind of broader context for online education.
And speaking of context, to really get why some tech works in education and some doesn't, we need to touch on this thing called the technology acceptance model.
TAM.
TAM.
Yeah. It's a classed model. Basically tries to explain the psychology of why we decide to use or not use a new piece of technology.
Okay, so what's the core idea?
It really boils down to two main beliefs you form about the tech. First is perceived usefulness. Do you actually believe using this thing, this platform, this app, whatever, will make you better at your job? Or in this case, better at learning? Will it improve your performance somehow?
Okay, will this help me learn? And the second?
The second is perceived ease of use. Basically, how much effort do you think it's going to take to use this thing? Is it intuitive? Or is it going to be a massive headache to figure out?
Right, simple enough to use without pulling my hair out.
Exactly. So if you think it's useful and easy to use, Tam says you'll likely develop a positive attitude towards it.
Intense.
And that positive attitude then drives your behavioral intention, your plan to actually use it, which ideally leads to actual system use.
So belief leads to attitude, attitude leads to intention, intention leads to action, a kind of chain reaction.
Pretty much. And the model also acknowledges external variables. Things like, what are your peers doing? What does the instructor require? Social influence, basically.
Okay. Peer pressure, but for tech.
Sort of. And TAM itself has evolved. There's TAM 2, TAM 3. They added more factors.
Yep.
Things like how relevant is the tech to your specific tasks? Can you easily see the results of using it? How confident do you feel using computers in general? Your self-efficacy. Even computer anxiety plays a role.
Okay, so it gets more nuanced.
Yeah. And then there's another model called UTAUT, the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, which pulls even more of these factors together. But the core of usefulness and ease of use remains really central.
Got it. So let's connect TAM back to those professors during the pandemic shift. That research really highlighted support, right?
Absolutely crucial. You can see TAM playing out perfectly. The pandemic instantly created massive perceived usefulness for online tools. Suddenly, they weren't optional, they were essential.
Right, total necessity.
But then the universities had a big job addressing perceived ease of use. Faculty, especially those new to online teaching, needed to feel like they could actually use these tools effectively without it being overwhelming.
That's where the support comes in.
Exactly. The study detailed the kinds of support. At CBU, they had things like a specific teaching program focused on online learning, a community of practice for faculty making the switch.
Like peer support.
Yeah, and also faculty troubleshooters for one-on-one help, student assistance for tech support in live classes, plus the usual IT help desk.
A whole ecosystem of help.
Pretty much. And OnTech U had their Teaching and Learning Center stepping up, running workshops on specific tools, Canvas, Kaltura for video, Google Meet, even assessment tools like Respondus.
So lots of practical, hands-on training.
Right. And what the research found really interesting was that both formal PD, especially when it focused on pedagogy, the how to teach effectively online part, not just the tech skills.
Not just clicking buttons.
Exactly. Both that and the informal support leaning on knowledgeable colleagues, those communities of practice were super important for boosting faculty confidence, their self-efficacy.
Which directly impacts perceived ease of use. Makes total sense.
It really shows you need that combination of pedagogical guidance and practical tech support to make adoption successful. You can't just hand people software.
So true. And this leads nicely into the other framework mentioned in the research, TPACK.
Ah, yes, TPACK. Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge.
Sounds like a mouthful.
It is a bit, but it's a really useful model for thinking about effective teaching with technology. It breaks down the knowledge teachers need into 3 core areas.
Okay, what are they?
First, Content knowledge, CK. That's knowing your subject matter inside out, physics, history, whatever it is.
Got it. Subject expertise.
Second, pedagogical knowledge, PK. This is understanding how people learn, teaching strategies, classroom management, assessment methods, the art and science of teaching itself.
Okay. How to
And
start.
third, technological knowledge, TK. This is knowing about different technologies, how to use them, troubleshooting, keeping up with new tools.
With tech skills.
Hmm.
CK, TK.
Right, but TPACK argues the real magic happens where these areas overlap.
Ah, the intersections.
Exactly. So where pedagogy and content overlap, you get pedagogical content knowledge, PCK. That's knowing the best ways to teach your specific subject, like how do you explain photosynthesis effectively.
Okay. Subject-specific teaching methods.
Then, where technology and content overlap, you get technological content knowledge, TCK. Understanding how technology can represent or transform the content, using simulations in science or digital archives in history.
Using tech to show the subject.
And where technology and pedagogy overlap, that's technological pedagogical knowledge, TPK. Knowing how different technologies can actually change how you teach and how students learn. Using collaborative online documents, for example, or discussion forums effectively.
Using tech to change the teaching process.
And right in the middle, where all three circles overlap, that's TP GRU. It's the synthesis. It's that expert knowledge of using technology, pedagogy, and content understanding all together seamlessly to create powerful learning experiences.
Wow. Okay, that's complex, but makes sense.
And that faculty study, it really showed that during the pandemic pivot, faculty needed support, particularly with their TK, the basic tech skills, but maybe even more importantly with their TPK. How do I actually teach well using these new online tools?
It wasn't just about knowing Canvas, but knowing how to use Canvas to foster discussion or explain a concept effectively.
Precisely. Effective online learning for instructors and for you as students means navigating that complex interplay.
Okay, so let's boil this all down, bringing it back to you, the learner listening right now. What are the big takeaways?
Well, first, those practical time management bits. For readings, scan first, read with purpose, skim strategically. Don't feel you have to read every word initially.
Right, and for discussions, engage selectively. Maybe use those daily digests if you can, and definitely schedule time for it. Take control.
Definitely. And second, drawing from that faculty experience, don't be afraid to seek out and use the support that's available to you. Tutoring, tech help, writing centers, use them.
Good reminder. We all need help sometimes. And think about TAM in your own experience.
Yeah, reflect on it. What makes an online tool feel useful to you? What makes it feel easy or frustrating? Understanding that helps you navigate your courses better.
Maybe even gives you language to ask for better tools or support.
Could be. And also, try to be mindful about how you're learning online. Think about the teaching methods, the tech being used, not just the content itself.
See the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that faculty study also found, interestingly, that the pandemic experience had a lasting effect. Many faculty plan to keep using more digital tools, rethink course structures. Online learning isn't going away, it's evolving.
It's becoming more integrated for sure. So here's a final thought to maybe chew on after this.
Okay.
As tech keeps shaping education, how can you, as a learner, proactively develop your own kind of TPACK, your own blend of tech skills, understanding of learning strategies, and your subject knowledge?
Becoming a more empowered learner through that lens.
Yeah. How can understanding these frameworks, TAM, TPACK, help you not just use the tech you're given, but really leverage it to learn more deeply, engage more effectively in any learning situation?
That's a great question to ponder. How do you become more strategic and knowledgeable as a tech-enabled learner?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.